your skin is so thick that it's just going to look like a balloon. You're going to look puffed, like the Marshmallow Man. So stay puffed, guys. Stay puffed. Vigorous Steve here. It's Vigorous Q&A time for all of your bodybuilding related questions. Today's question is from Tor Grandstedt. How much body fat percentage can you be at when starting a cycle without experiencing aggressive blood pressure symptoms from carrying too much fat? So what he wants to know is when he can start a cycle, how lean does he need to be? Before we get into the answer, please like the video, leave a comment for the algorithm, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. Notification bell button, thank you very much. How lean do you need to be before you can start a cycle? Ideally, your body fat distribution needs to be uniform. Now that might happen at 12% body fat, 10% body fat. You shouldn't have any glaring fat masses on your lower chest or your lower back or around your glute area, your hips. You need to be lean enough to prevent or reduce the potential for aromatization. If you're high body fat, you probably have more aromatase enzymes present. And let's say you start with a generous TRT dose of 200 to 250 milligrams testosterone cypionate or enanthate per week and nothing else. When you're higher body fat levels, a decent amount of this exogenous testosterone is going to convert into estradiol in the body fat. But if you start lean, you might not even need an aromatase inhibitor because, again, there's less body fat, less potential for aromatization because you have less aromatase enzymes. And now that also means that your serum testosterone levels are going to be significantly higher compared to the guy who starts this exact same dose at a higher body fat percentage. Now, again, there's individual response here, obviously, because some people have a lot of aromatase enzymes even when they're decently lean. Let's say 8 to 10% body fat, they might still aromatize quite heavily and need an aromatase inhibitor or dihydrotestosterone derivative on top to reduce the conversion of testosterone into estradiol, or go with daily micro administrations, or go the subcutaneous route to reduce the absorption rate at which testosterone enanthate or cypionate enters the bloodstream, where it can transport to the little amount of body fat that they have, where it gets aromatized into estradiol. But the exact opposite might be true for people with a higher body fat percentage if they don't have so much potential for aromatization. Their adipose tissue doesn't contain so much aromatase enzyme. So again, personal and individual response determines how much aromatization and how high your serum estradiol levels are going to get, assuming you only use testosterone and not an aromatase inhibitor or another method to control your serum estradiol levels. Now, before you get on the telmisartan bandwagon to modulate your renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system positively to control your blood pressure and you reduce the overall water retention that you experience when you use testosterone or other anabolic androgenic steroids, you can also improve your blood pressure besides getting leaner with controlling your serum electrolytes. Now, I already made several videos about that, so I'm not going to bore you, but everybody considering performance-enhancing drugs should at least control their electrolyte intake. That's the sodium, the potassium, the magnesium, and the calcium. Make sure that you get them equally at the optimal ranges for you as an individual. For me, for an example, I need more sodium because I sweat buckets training in a gym without air conditioning. And I'm also following a ketogenic diet, increasing the need for sodium further because I don't have any glycogen in my skeletal muscle, which would otherwise give me fullness in the form of water retention. Because again, glycogen stores help with water retention also. If you don't have so much glycogen, you don't need to increase your potassium intake so much. And when you're taking telmisartan or nebivolol for heart protection and to keep your blood pressure in range and for all of the other benefits associated with telmisartan and nebivolol, both of these two ancillaries are linked to hyperkalemia. So potassium intake doesn't have to be so high also. I mostly focus on my magnesium and calcium intake. Now again, I made dedicated videos about that, so please do your due diligence researching. Keep your electrolyte intake stable, which will positively modulate your blood pressure. You don't have to immediately resort to telmisartan or lisinopril or Cialis or any other method to control your blood pressure. Focus on your electrolyte intake. Get lean. But if leanness doesn't modulate your blood pressure while going on cycle, and if electrolyte intake that is consistent and you know 100% that your electrolyte intake is 100% perfect for you as an individual, and your blood pressure is still not managed while you're taking performance-enhancing drugs, and again, the higher the dose of performance-enhancing drugs or the compound selection, at one point you will certainly need a telmisartan or an Abivala or another method to control your blood pressure. So don't exclude it when it's absolutely necessary. At that point, you put those compounds in, but you still need to get lean, because what's the point of taking performance-enhancing drugs or cosmetically enhancing drugs when your body fat levels are too high? Besides the blood pressure changes which might occur, which you can mitigate with ancillaries, if you're anywhere over 15% body fat, as soon as you get back on cycle, or this is your first cycle, your skeletal muscle is going to volumize. All of the glycogen retention and nitrogen retention and mineral retention is going to increase, increasing the overall volume of your muscle. But if you're over 15%, your skin is so thick that it's just going to look like a balloon. You're going to look puffed, like the Marshmallow Man. So stay puffed, guys. Stay puffed. We can take myself as an example again. I'm over 15% body fat after coming off cycle, doing a wishy-washy HCG monotherapy and switching to a testosterone booster instead. I gained a decent amount of body fat. I will start my cycle next week, and even though it's going to be moderate, I'm going to swell. You guys will see I'm going to swell up without that much definition because my skin is too thick and there's too much body fat present. Now, I will also combine this going back on cycle with a cutting phase. So as I'm getting leaner, many of the side effects associated with higher body fat percentages are going to resolve themselves. But I have the experience. And if you don't have this experience and you don't know how to mitigate your body fat levels quite fast, it's probably better to start leaner around 10, 12, no more than 15% body fat before you get on cycle. And otherwise, if you're over 15% body fat, you have to keep something in place to mitigate blood pressure or aromatization or acne or other issues which you might not expect associated with higher body fat percentage. Again, profuse sweating might occur. You have to be careful, especially if it's your first cycle. You don't have any experience using performance-enhancing drugs. It's better to get lean, get your butt into shape, and then you can do a reverse diet while introducing the exogenous testosterone and whatever else. You reverse diet, you actually grow a lot more. You don't have to mitigate any of the blood pressure issues or issues with aromatization because you're substantially lean and you already know how to manage your diet. The six-pack is a proof of that. You reverse diet on your first cycle or an upcoming cycle that is maybe your 10th cycle. You make the gains while staying lean because, again, testosterone and other performance-enhancing drugs have a positive effect on your metabolism. So a reverse diet is going to be significantly easier with a lot better results if you add in the performance-enhancing drugs when you're already decently lean. Hope this answers your question. Thank you guys so much for watching. You can find everything that I'm associated with down below in the description section. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok at VigorSteve. Have a look at my affiliates and sponsors so you can use a discount code while shopping online. Save yourself some money in the process. I have further sponsors and affiliates on my website. If you're looking for something particular that I discussed in this YouTube video, have a look at my website. Most of the discount codes are there. Vigorous crew, you guys know what to do. A front double bicep for you guys, 15% or more. I'll resolve that as soon as possible. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.